Alright, so I understand the title of the video is a little inflammatory as we're not talking about the value of Morgan herself, but more or less the value of Morgan's banners and the value of your Saint Courts, because Morgan as a servant has come out 4 different times, and I've been seeing a lot of chatter on social media, from Twitter to Discord to YouTube comments about people reconsidering as to when they're going to summon for Morgan or not, and despite Morgan not coming out on the NA version for quite a ways away, I mean, it's either going to be around like late spring to early summer. One, I think people will still be able to reference this around when Morgan actually is coming out, and 2, it's just something I wanted to talk about because I saw everybody, kind of clamoring about it, and I just kind of had the same thought with them releasing her a 4th time in such quick succession, and I wanted to kind of talk about the value of some of these banners, and I think it's something that a lot of people need to start prepping for and deciding on when they're going to start summoning, because obviously, even with the random banners that Lasengel is throwing into the game, it's going to make things even more difficult, but this will kind of be your guide and might also be seen as should you summon for Morgan, Koyenskaya, or Oberon when they do actually come out, because this is kind of devolve into that as well. But before we begin, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for daily FGO content. Also, if you want to see me play FGO live, I do that every weekday starting at 6 p.m. EST over on my Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below. But let's go ahead and talk about these different rate ups. So first and foremost, I think everybody should skip the first banner for Morgan, right? Because the first and second banner are literally a month apart, and sandwiched in between is actually the 6th year anniversary, and Morgan's going to be on one of the GSSRs, and a really good GSSR at that. It is a 1 in 5 chance to get her, and all of the servants on this GSSR are really strong. Castoria, Crane, Morgan, Karen, and Big Ushi are all really strong servants. Even if you don't get Morgan here, not only do you have other opportunities to actually get her, but you're going to walk away with at least one good servant. The only one that might be a little sussy to use is Miss Crane, because she kind of requires big brain farming, or big brain challenge quest stuff, whatever you want to use her for, because you can use her for both. But even then, she's still a very strong servant, and you just got to take the time to actually learn her. This is where things, though, get a little bit complex, because right in the middle of her getting her next rate up over here is Koyenskaya's release and Oberon's release, right? And these 2 servants are seeing a lot more value, I would say, in the JP version of the game because of things like the 90 plus and the 90 plus plus nodes. Now, it seems like the 90 plus nodes are pretty much specifically designed for either like Chengong farming or Buster farming specifically, right? There's like other weird setups you can use to kind of clear it, but it kind of seems like those are your main 2 options. And the 90 plus plus nodes are making someone like Oberon even more valuable right now because, I mean, you have things like a 1 million HP BB that is insanely hard to take down if you don't have like the right servants for the job. Now, granted, something I'm noticing for the 90 plus plus nodes is that it seems as though when they put out free-to-play servants, they're trying to make it to where those free-to-play servants can be useful in those. Like you can use EO for the BB one, and you can use the Pretender Liz for the most recent 90 plus plus node, and you can actually use them for that, which I do like, but you still need people to actually pump damage into them, right? For lack of a better term, because if you don't have like, these 2 guys, it's going to be very hard to clear. I mean, Waver's just not exactly cutting it with his 1 attack buff right now. So yeah, it makes these 2 very valuable, but this is where things get a little dicey as well, because Koyenskaya also has similarly a very quick turnaround because she comes back around for New Year's, but someone like Oberon hasn't come back at all aside from the GSSR stuff. So it kind of makes things a little more dicey as to who you actually want to go ahead and summon on, because Morgan, is going to come back 4 times, right? And so you might be able to just say, I'm just going to skip Morgan right here, and I'm going to try to go for one of these guys, and then you might end up going for someone like Oberon because, Koyenskaya has such a quick turnaround, and Morgan, is going to come back 2 more times. Speaking of the other 2 times that Morgan comes out, when you have the New Year's campaign where Koyenskaya of the Dankness comes out, she introduces the... Oh, where is it? It's up here, I believe. There it is. The GSSR, or not the GSSR, but the pity system, right? So basically, if you're going to spend 900 Saint Quartz on Morgan, like if you know that you're going to like Whale or Dolphin, or you're just going to save every little bit of Saint Quartz that you have to try and get this servant because, you just like Morgan for, her character, for her waifu appeal, or for her gameplay, or even all 3, and you really want to guarantee that you get her, then I would recommend going for either Banner 3 or Banner 4, because the third banner actually comes out quite soon after that. It comes out in that like April. Now, might be like a little bit earlier, a little bit later, kind of depending on what Lysengel actually does. As we all know, they kind of shifted Oku around, and you know that came out like way later than it was supposed to. But you know that she'll come out after the pity system. Granted, this could change a little bit. They might implement the pity system early. I don't really know, because the jury's still out if they've been making more money after the pity system or if it's like kind of been hindering them for a little bit. Word's still out on that one. Haven't seen a whole lot of data for it. So if it's something that makes them like a lot more money and incentivizes people to spend more, then they might implement it earlier. If it's not, they might hold it back to New Year's. So regardless, if you summon on at least the third or fourth, and you know that you're going to have like at least 900 Saint Quartz to go in on the banner, it's probably more worth it for you to save for some of these ones. But then we have the people that are like free to play that don't think they could save up that much Saint Quartz, because maybe they're going to try to go for like another servant in between. At that point, you could try to go for this second one, but if you're really like that free to play, as to where like you really don't spend like anything on the game or anything, you might be better off going for someone like Oberon or Koyenskaya, because as good as Morgan is, you'll have other servants that can fulfill her role, right? Until you actually get her, right? For instance, if you have someone just like Arjuna Alter, for instance, right? Like he'll be able to fulfill the role. Koyenskaya herself or Oberon can both also be used as Buster Loopers if you acquire one of them. Granted, you might say that like, well, Oberon is a pretender, so he's only really good against night classes. That's still at least a start. That's at least something he'll be able to do for you, and you can maybe sub in other guys. I mean, depending on like what servants you have in your account, like K-Scope and stuff like that, you can have situations where Koyenskaya can clear wave 1s for you, and then a servant with like a 30% battery plus like a K-Scope can take care of the rest, right? Just stuff like that. You can kind of scuff a team together that'll get the job done until you can get somebody like a Morgan or like an Ibuki or like an Arjuna Alter. I guess we're just talking about Berserkers, or even until Arcoid comes out, until anyone like that that you can grab, she'll be able to like, you know, lock it down for you. And so ultimately, my main premise is that I think you should skip at least these two, right? If you want to go for Morgan, try to hit her on this banner or this one right here. I didn't bring up the New Year GSSR for Morgan, or not Morgan, but for Koyenskaya, because I don't think Koyenskaya's is as good. Morgan's is still pretty solid here. With like Nerocaster being like a pretty solid Buster Farmer. You can use Hassan for like solo runs, and Ivan gets pretty good in the future. It's not nearly as good as her other GSSR, and Koyenskaya, I believe, is right, yeah, here. Hers is pretty good, but it's kind of chock full of people as well, because like Ilya gets really good, Cleo's good if you can get Imperial Privilege, obviously Koyenskaya is a prize, Arjuna Alter is really good, Raiko's pretty good, even like Hijikata and Iskandar are okay, but obviously those are not the people that you want to get. This is not as good as like the 6th anniversary GSSR. We got like a 1 in 5 chance, and they're all absolute bangers of servants. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This was just something that kind of crept into my head, and I really wanted to talk about it. I actually kind of spent some time trying to script it out a little bit, like semi-scripted, because, you know, I like to be a little free-flowing and everything, as you can probably tell towards the end of the video, but scripted a little bit because I really wanted to make sure that I got everything down pat. I wanted to make sure that, like, I kind of gave everybody the information that they want to work for, because I know that Koyenskaya is an insanely, not Koyenskaya, Morgan is an insanely popular servant that a lot of people are going to be going for, myself included, but with her 4th banner coming out, you know, on JP like a day ago, it kind of got me thinking, like, am I even going to summon on Morgan's initial banner, or am I just going to wait for like the GSSR and everything and try to go like the smarter route? And I probably will at least wait for the GSSR, probably skip out on the 1st banner. The only thing that like kind of makes this a little weird is if you also really want Sith and Barghest, because that also adds additional value to like these 2 banners, right? But I would still say you probably skip this 1st one and go for the 2nd one if you do just want both of them, because then at least you can try to like snag a Morgan, or you can at least try to snag one of these 2 before getting her. Something along those lines. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys tomorrow with another video.